Hey guys, Matteo here. Welcome back to a new video. As promised, here's the Q&A. So I'm gonna basically answer all your questions. I'm surrounded by boxes and stuff because as many of you know probably already, I'm moving from California to Florida, and if you want, I'm gonna probably do a video and talk about that as well. But it's a big move. I have to drive 2,500 miles next Tuesday, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Of course, I'm gonna do the rig tour video for the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. I want to do a color grading tutorial about how I graded my spec CAD, the perfume one. Since you guys really love the behind the scene video, probably in the next month, once I'm settled in Florida, it's gonna be easier to upload. But for now, I just want to go through these questions that I got on the community tab on YouTube channel and try to give you guys the best answer I possibly can. So let's just jump into it and let's start answering this question because you guys got a bunch. Alex T asked me which was the most fun project for you last year, which I suppose is 2019, of course. What kind of work is the most important for your income? Which one is the most fun for you personally? And plans for 2020, going back to USA. I'm already in the USA, so the plan is that I'm moving from California to Florida, so from Los Angeles to Tampa Bay area. That's my future, that's my plan, and that's what I'm gonna do next week. But let's just start with what was the most fun project for you last year. And the most fun project for me in 2019 was probably the series of spec CAD. I don't have like a favorite project at all. I kind of like pretty much everything I did, some stuff more, some stuff less, but pretty much I really like the spec CAD that I shot with Raffaele, so the one that I DP, so the fashion one and the Brad McLean skateboarding commercial that we did for Bones. And those was probably my favorite because we had a sort of like a very small crew, but still a crew. We shot on the Alexa. It was beautiful, where there's beautiful Flanders, but it's not only about the gear, it's because I collaborated with other people. So the thing that I like the most when I'm filming something or I'm working on a project is actually collaborating with other people. I always do one-man band, one cameraman and whatever, but if I have a director and I have a first AC, I really like working in that situation. It doesn't have to be like a huge crew, but having a little help from other people and have their perspective on the work you're doing is probably the best thing ever. And the other question that Alex has was what kind of work is the most important for your income? So I guess it's like, well, where you make money. And their answer for this is there's not like one single thing which is more important than the other one. Is everything kind of correlated? So what I tell to people when they're approaching this career is to try to combine multiple source of income. So if I would only be a DP, I guess I could do that, but that means you're one of the top, you're in the 1% of the DP in the world where you can just survive doing DP. So what I also do, I do editing, I do color grading, I produce my stuff, I film, I direct, I do a bunch of stuff. And then of course there's some YouTube that helps a little bit, some Amazon, and then I put the lots in there and like film supplies, so stock footage. So everything combined is gonna make the income. Of course, the biggest thing is still shooting corporate video. Corporate gigs is the one that pay the most, and they're the probably the less fun, but that's what pays the bill. So I think I'm pronouncing this correct, but Choiki Hart Kelly, when you expose, when you work on the exposure, should you prioritize the skin tones or the highlights? Because it's saying that basically you always hear people saying saving the highlights, but it doesn't always work that way in real life. And I kind of agree with that. I usually do expose for the highlights, so unless I'm in a crazy, difficult, and very hard scenario, I always expose for the highlights. That means I'm not gonna have anything clipping in my shot. That to me is the worst thing that can happen. You know, if there's like a little bit of red and yellow, just a little bit, it's probably fine. But if you're shooting out of a window and you have a subject inside that you want to expose properly, and all the window is kind of blown up, in that case, what I do if I don't have the budget to light up the subject inside, I try to move the camera and try to get the window as a side light, so like a key but from the side, so the background is going to be still interior. Otherwise I try to bounce some lights maybe, or sometimes I use like those diffuser and the light, and I try to balance a little bit. Of course, if it's really dark and outside is really bright, it's gonna be tricky to do it without any help of like lights or bouncer. Okay, next question. Kiri Kleikov is asking me, you said that you shoot stock footage occasionally. What can you say about your experience with them? I guess it's film supply. how large is your portfolio, what kind of footage you shoot, and how the sales are going. The sales are kind of an up and down. Of course, most of my client jobs and work, I can't put it on Film Supply. Sometimes I see up there stuff that it looks like, and I don't think it just look like it. They spend a crap ton of money to film the stuff, and I'm very surprised to see that stuff up there. I don't think the client is gonna agree with that, so it has to be a spec ad or some sort of personal project. Very expensive. I mean, you know, if you own a production company, you're making thousands of dollars a year, I guess. Investing, I don't know, $100,000 a year in spec ad is probably a good way to write off taxes and to increase your portfolio. I think a lot of companies do that, but they need to be extremely successful because you need a lot of money. So in my case, I mainly upload travel video, some spec ad that I shoot, and personal project, simply because that's the only thing I can upload up there. In terms of income, when we talk about stock footage, it's very hard to say. Sometimes I make $50 a month. Sometimes I make $1,000 a month. Sometimes I make $1,500 a month. Those are really rare. I'm not sure about the average. I think this year combined was around $5,000 or $6,000 together. But I think you also have to be very lucky with who buys your clip. So if it's a big company, they're gonna pay way more. Film Supply take a part of that, but of course, the bigger the client is, the more money they're gonna spend and more money you're gonna make, of course. Next question, EGTV is asking me, I would love some insight into your pre-production process preparing for shoots. And this is kind of funny because like a lot of time I don't do a lot of pre-production. It depends from the project, of course, but like the perfume spec ad, I was just kind of like thinking, like watching at a perfume commercial and take some inspiration, see what I could do. But it was mainly, that particular project, it was mainly me dancing around with the camera and just, you know, like going with the flow. I didn't plan really much. Pre-production is actually something that I really struggle with sometimes because I have no clue in that particular situation, in the particular time frame, unless there's like a huge amount of location scouting. That means huge project and big budget, but I have no clue what a shot is gonna look like until I'm in that location, until I have the camera on, until I have the right focal length on, until I have all the subject too. The actor has to be in place and everything and do the blocking. Like I have no clue until there how it's gonna look like. That's why I never did a storyboard in my entire life, because to me it doesn't make any sense. And I'm not the only one. I know that a lot of like big guys as well, they don't do storyboard. They mainly do like shot list, but not extremely specific. What I normally do though, is writing down a sort of shot list based on location. So we're gonna be on the beach, let's do the sunset shot, close up of them kissing at sunset. I wanna grab that. I don't know where the camera is gonna be. I'm gonna dance around and grab that shot. I don't know, but that's pretty much what I do. There's people that do all these like 3D graphics and they create actual people and they simulate the scene. They're gonna have a sky panel out there, bouncing light in there. It's gonna be this guy. I have no clue how they do it. I really respect that, and I wish I could be like that. But for me, it's just mainly grabbing the camera at the moment. It's all about like emotion, and that to me is an approach that is a little bit more like technical. And I sometimes I don't really care about. I'm a pretty technical person, but I rather just going with the flow. That's my approach usually. Okay, and Alexis Paradis asked me, what tips and advice will you give yourself back when you started your film career? I would just say, man, it takes so much time. I don't know, because like I honestly did a lot of mistakes, but I think they were necessary in order to get here or there or whatever I'm going. So I'm not sure. Maybe I wouldn't even listen to those advice, but if I can give advice to people right now, in-person connection are extremely important. I think the location, a city where you're in, is very important, because like what you have around during your daily life, like everyday life, is what inspires you the most. So to me, LA, for example, it wasn't of any inspiration. That's why I moved into Florida and already met a bunch of people there. But it's all about, if I would give me an advice back in the days, would be like, meet as many people as possible that you would like to collaborate with. Next question, Jackson Welsh asking me the benefits of using a Macbook over screw-on filters. Woo! And I know a lot of people think, and because I got comments that I read, that a matte box is only to make the camera look bigger, and that's BS. The reason why you want a matte box is because you can use very good filters. So screw-on filter, they're pretty valid. I use a variable ND for so much time, and I don't know if because I wear it because I use it too much, the Tiffin, but now that I'm using the Nisi IR&D and the matte box, I'm noticing that variable looks terrible. I highly recommend those matte box and those IR&D because you filter the IR pollution as well. Or if you really want to use those screw-on filters, probably just get like a 3 stop, 6 stops, 9 stop, 2 stop, like not a variable. That should help. But with the matte box, I don't know, I can just put like very high quality filters in there. And then I have she. Hi Matteo, could you please talk about the filters you use? Which I kind of answered already, but I use IR&D, and then I have a black promist Tiffin quarter, which I love, and it's always in my matte box. Adonis G asked me, what are some bad habits that you had to get rid in order to get the time management snappy workflow you have? Well, I think that really depends on the experience you have. For me, growing up in Italy and for some reason, like just super low budget scenario situation, I always had to learn editing myself, learn how to operate a camera myself, because I wanted to edit and then I needed footage, so I can direct. But then I couldn't hire a DP, so I started operating the camera, so I bought the camera. So basically, I learned every single step of the process, and when you do that, you kind of become fast because you already know what's next. So when I film a scene, I'm already thinking about that in the editing. So in my mind, I know that I'm gonna save more time in post if I do that. And that's one of the reasons why in color grading, I basically just put the battery lights on it, and that's about it. And maybe I increase the contrast a bit and tweak the white balance and the tint. But the reason why I'm able to do that is because when I film, I know that I have to get the exposure perfectly. I want to get my skin tones perfectly. Like everything has to be perfect. So when I go to color grading, I just go from log to Rec 709 and that's it. And also too, there's like some morning where I wake up and there's this nice couch. I get in here and I get my coffee and just want to chill on the couch and watch a YouTube video. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad habit, but it's something that sometimes, because I work mainly from home, it's something that I have to consider. But you know what? You should give yourself like a couple of hours, once, twice a week, to just stay on the couch and check out YouTube videos and that kind of stuff. SR7, SR7, SR7. He asks me, if you had to buy 3 or 5 lenses new for the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, which would they be? It's a tricky question because I don't like modern lenses like the Sigma Art, and don't get me wrong, they're really good lenses, beautiful, they get the job done and everything. But when you compare them with something like those Leica R, it's just, I don't know, man. There's something in those like vintage lenses, which the Leica, to be honest, I like them because like they don't even look too vintage. I just use them for a couple of corporate videos and they work great. Client was happy. So if I had to pick up some lenses for my Pocket 6K, it's exactly those Leica R. And I know they're not for everyone, they're expensive, but if I have to pick up between a Canon that I don't like and Canon lenses or like Sigma Art, I would pick Sigma Art. So get it 18 to 35, not the 50 to 100 because that breathes like crazy. Maybe a 50 and an 85 and I think you'll be good. Live on Jarrod, how do you get national and international clients? Word of mouth or advertising? Definitely not advertising. So I never really did any campaign or Google ads or Facebook thing. Even for the lots, I'm not doing any paid advertising or anything. Just reach out to people and I have them test the lots. And if they like it and they want to talk about it, great. I think that's the best advertising. That's what kind of Tesla is doing. So they don't pay for advertising. They pay for marketing, but not for advertising. So my idea, if you're good and you're a little bit good at marketing, you probably don't need to spend a lot of money in advertising. Unless you have like a very bad product that you want to try to sell at all costs. But Other than that, just do your work, be a nice person, be a nice guy. But to answer your question, the fact that I lived in Italy, Ireland, California, Utah, and now I'm gonna be in Florida. I think on the good side, on the positive side of traveling and moving around is that I met so many people all around the world. So sometimes I have an agency that calls me in Italy and they need a job done, so I go to Italy and I do it. Sometimes there are American clients that have to shoot something in Italy and they rather send an Italian there because of course I can speak Italian. Sometimes, not many times, but a couple of times, people found me on YouTube. So maybe they're like creative director or owner of some agency that have interest in video. So it's a little bit of both. I definitely never found any client on Instagram, that's for sure. These are a lot of questions. DJ Perez asked me, what's your preferred site to use for posting your stock footage? Oh, site, that's Film Supply, as I mentioned before, just because I have an exclusive thing there, so that's what I use. And I also believe that is the only one with extremely high quality footage. So I really like them. They're great guys. How to build, maintain a career in this field? DJ Perez again. And perhaps some tips on balancing work with your personal love life. I'd love to hear your take on this. And sometimes I have like my wife helping me out. That helps a lot. But most of the time it's, it's a very good balance because like, it's not that you always shoot, like, well, unless you're like maybe a union DP or like Roger Deakin or whatever that you shoot literally every day all around the world. That is gonna be tough if you're one of those like commercial guys that one day is in China, one day is in Japan, one day. I could do that, but just, I wouldn't take every single job. I would take just whatever I think is worth it. Because at the end of the day, once you start doing those jobs, that's where people are gonna call you for. So now I'm trying to develop, some wine documentary things and some travel thing that I can, go maybe to an advertising agency that want to shoot a video for an airline company. I think, I'm pretty good for that role. So that's what I'm trying to do. Traveling, food and beverage, that's the kind of stuff I like. Because I know in life, working is important, but enjoying life is also very important. That's why if I decide to do corporate, I'm hopefully be able to do wine commercial or wine documentaries or resort videos, because at least I'm gonna be in a very nice location drinking a cocktail on the beach. I mean, can't really beat that. Next question: how do you make sure you capture the right amount of B-roll on the documentaries that you shoot? Keep rolling, man. But it's a tricky part actually, because sometimes I have a long interview and I don't feel I have enough. What is the most important thing too is not how much you shoot, but I think is the variety of the stuff you shoot. So sometimes you feel like, oh, I have 60 minutes of someone cutting a grapes in a vineyard. It's fine, but in an editing, at the end, you're only gonna use a couple of shots of someone cutting the grapes. The tricky part is being smart enough to know that you have enough of the little situation, change a little bit of that other situation, and have a big variety of scenarios. Okay, I have another one from Kirill Klaikov. Again, what are the specs of your new MacBook Pro? What are the minimum requirements for comfortable editing Pocket 4K footage in your opinion? So I got the MacBook Pro 16 inches, 64 gig of RAM, 8 gig of graphic card. Processor I think is a 9 core, but it's not a 2.4, it's probably a 2.3, which is, I read is pretty much the same. And 1 terabyte of SSD. I can edit the Pocket 6K footage on a 4K timelines in DaVinci with no problems with the MacBook. With my mid 2017, I could edit Pocket 6K footage on a 1080 timeline, no problem. On the 4K timeline, it would be a little bit tricky. I think we're past by the time where you needed like a $50,000 Mac Pro to edit some 6K footage. You can do it on a 2017 MacBook Pro. Next question, Aurelian Bayo. Ciao Matteo, what's your opinion on film schools? What are your personal artistic ambition? How do you balance that path with making money commercial work? Thanks a lot. What I think about film school, I absolutely don't think UCLA or USC are worth $100,000 a year. No, that's simply no. Yeah, you're gonna develop some connection. Cool. How many people are working in film and actually making a good living with films just because they did UCLA or USC. If I had $300,000, I'm just gonna open a production company, buy a couple of Arri Alexa Mini, some good lenses, and renting them out, and make a living like that, and then start shooting. My honest opinion is no, you don't need a film school in order to be a filmmaker. Nobody does. And then he asked me, what are your personal artistic ambition? I really would love to, if I think right now, like the feature film I shot with Noam back in December 2018, which is gonna premiere in LA, March 13, that's what I wanna do. Indie feature films, small crew, nice story, simple stuff. Commercial, maybe if it's a narrative style commercial, yes. And then VFX Todd, hi Matteo, we'd like to know what lenses you use and if you can recommend cheaper equivalent to some of those lenses. At the moment, I'm trying to stay in the EF mount war for my Pocket 4K. I'm looking for a wide angle lens at the moment, something between 10 and 20 mil for EF mounts. So far I've seen EFS mount, but I know those can have vignettes in the image, which I want to avoid. Epi 2020. I think honestly, thanks Todd, the best lenses you can get for the Pocket, take note of this, Todd. If it was me and I have a Pocket 4K brand new right now, that's what I would do. I would buy a Nikon Speed Booster Ultra, and then I would buy an 18-35 Sigma R Nikon mount for those like easy shoot where you just zoom. 18-35, perfect. You're like 30-50, 1.8, which is gonna become like a f1 because of the Speed Booster. So definitely 18-35, and then I will get 3 or 4 Nikkor lenses, those old Nikon that actually you can buy new on B&H. I used those Nikkor lenses with the Ursa Mini. They were converted EF. Actually, you can get them converted EF, but if you already have your Speed Booster Nikon, what you can do is that you can buy a 35 and a 50, and maybe, I'm not sure what they have. They might have the 18, and you can buy them again, used or new, and use them on your Speed Booster. So for corporate interview, that kind of stuff, you have your 18-35, which is a guarantee. It's an okay lens, but it works great and it's pretty good compared to the competition. And then you have your little set of Nikkor lenses, which are great, and I love them, except I think they focus on the other side. And with the time, maybe you can cinevise them and cinemod them, but I love those Nikkor lenses. Or you can get your EF 18-35, with the EF Speed Booster Ultra, and then get the Canon FD Speed Booster and some Canon FD, which are pretty cheap. Optimum Film, what was your process of choosing the Leica and how did you plan for saving it? Was it part of your original business plan? Not really. I always love those lenses, and the reason, as I said before, is because you can use them for any kind of job. But I have to be honest, if I want to do some very low budget corporate video, for those, I'm probably gonna pick up an 18-35, and that's gonna allow me to be a little bit faster, and I don't have to change lenses or anything. But the reason behind them is that I love them. I use them on an Ursa Mini for a music video, and I like them, and so they're sharp enough, they're not soft, they pretty much don't have any flares. I mean, flares are very controlled, and when you point them right to the sun, they don't wash out the image. I invested in those lenses because I knew first, they're pretty rare, so they can hold their value pretty well. So again, as I said before, instead of having $7,000 in my business bank account, I basically purchased some lenses. Of course, it's a lot of money, but it was a business expense, so I'm gonna write that off, and I have $7,000 here with me, just their lenses. Because for me, cameras are not a good investment unless they're under 3K. So a Pocket 6K is a great investment. Pocket 4K is an amazing investment. An under $1,000 camera, not really, unless you have the gig and the clients that are gonna pay for it. But when you think about it, camera lose their value right away. Lenses instead, used lenses mainly, they hold their value really well. That's my rule, and it's just a very personal opinion. And with camera, I mean body, brain, not the rig. And invest in used lenses, because those are probably the best investment you can possibly do. Next question, Camilo Torres. I'm a creative agency owner. For our videos, we have an original Blackmagic. Do you think the upgrade to the 4K is necessary? I love the original Pocket, but for client work, corporate stuff, little commercial, you probably need something that can shoot something more than 24p. And some clients want 4K. You would probably need something to deliver 4K. You have way better ports like full HDMI, the WiPo cable, all that kind of stuff. So definitely upgrade to the 4K, especially because it's $1,000 camera, and I think there's no really reason why you shouldn't, in my opinion. Okay, Taipan, I guess that's the name. Could you share with us why you have switched to the Tilta instead of previous 8-scene setup? Also, what is your favorite film? I don't know, I just wanted to try it. This is like a stylistic kind of design choice, and I felt like the 6K would look sick in that Tilta. Yeah. My favorite film, Interstellar. I love it. I really like Match Point, Woody Allen. That's another one of my favorite. I have a bunch, but Taxi Driver. There's so many. I'm sorry, I don't have one. Javier Aguirre asked me, what have you found are the best ways to color match the original Blackmagic Pocket to the 4K? What I do is, I shoot RAW on the original. I go in DaVinci, in the RAW settings. I switch color science from V1 to V4, and then I apply the battery Rec 709 LUT. That works perfectly fine on the original Pocket when you switch to color science V4. TW Original Creations. Hey Matteo, the rule of third, is this something you think about all the time? And should you? Yes, I do use it. I have a grid all the time, and I use it all the time. It's to me it's great because it gives me an idea where my subject is gonna be. I try to put it right there, right here. I don't know, I like it, and I use it anytime for any kind of project. Seth Weber, how was the Samsung T5 being with the 6K? All frame rates and qualities? Having a hard time finding a definitive answer. I only shoot 60p 5x1 on the 6K, so I don't have an answer for that. My guess is it should work, but I'm not completely sure. Cody Carson, who or what do you look to for inspiration? Not Instagram, that's for sure. I mainly find inspiration in nature, so traveling for me is a big thing. When I travel like to Europe, all those like perspective architecture and all that kind of stuff that inspire me a lot. Lubezki is one of my mainly inspiration. If I have to find a DP, Lubezki and Terrence Malick. So Terrence Malick is like a big filmmaker for me for inspiration in terms of like shots. Okay, Shamaruku, do promist filters help achieve the film look? Depends. Yeah, definitely. They smooth out those highlights. They make the image a little bit softer. I like it. It cut out that digital sharpness and look that you typically have with modern cameras and modern lenses. PG, how do you go about nailing perfect exposure on every shoot? False colors. That's the trick. I pretty much use false colors, and once my false color match and everything is perfectly exposed, that's pretty much what I do. David Benini, this is in Italian, gestire un canale YouTube in inglese. He's asking if managing a YouTube channel in English as an Italian is somehow being a challenge for my in order to express myself, and I don't think so, because now I speak English pretty much as Italian with a little bit of accent, but my English I think is pretty good, so no, I don't have any language barrier with that. Andreas Appel. There's been some talks about the Z6 and the Atomos Ninja with the ProRes support. Wonder a couple of things. How does the Z6 hold up against the Pocket 4K? I don't know, never used it. I know there are different ballparks in terms of sensor side, but what are the capabilities of ProRes RAW versus B-RAW? I never shot ProRes RAW. Perhaps I'm comparing apples to pears. Would nice to be some discussion about that. With the A7 series ever support ProRes? And unfortunately, these are all questions that I can't answer because I never shot ProRes RAW. I never shot on a Z6. And I have no clue if a Sony A7 is gonna ever support ProRes RAW. No clue. Atomant. Hi Matteo, I want to build my Canon FD lens collection, and I want to ask you if you have any problem if I buy the normal EF speed booster and I just put FD to EF. Yes, you're gonna have problems. You can't do that. A lot of people already asked me that, and I found out you can't do that. So you need a Metabone speed booster, FD to Micro Four Third, and a EF to Micro Four Third. Unless someone was able to do it, I couldn't. So Marcello Milesi, what is the best and worst part of your job? Best part is traveling for sure, seeing new places. at the end of the day, when you film, you typically film something cool. And that's the most beautiful thing, like enjoying what I do. And to me, it's not even a job, you know. I was able to make it hobby become my job. So for me, I feel like I never really work, except when I have to edit corporate videos. That sounds a little bit more like a job. Raghav Aditya, the horizontal noise pattern issue in your Pocket 6K when you're exposed, I'm also going through the same problem. I just received a camera back from Blackmagic, so they replace it, and I'm gonna test it out and let you know. But I don't know yet. It just literally just showed up. Do you have experience with the Canon C line camera, and how do you see them compare against the Pocket 6K? I shot on the C300 and 500 like a live event, but I'm not a big fan of Canon cameras. I think they're a little bit too overpriced, and they don't offer as those unique features that Blackmagic offers. So I never use them. So I mean, I use it for very few projects, and I prefer the Blackmagic color science and look. So I'm not a Canon guy, but I mean, they're definitely perfect for some sort of like documentaries and live events and that kind of stuff. And yes, I think it's done. I think I answered all the questions that I had in my community tab on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this kind of video and you're interested, I know there's not a lot of footage to see, but I have a bunch of videos coming out, the Pocket 6K rig and the color grading tutorial on the Spec CAD. But if you like this kind of Q&A, I could do them like once a month if you like it. Just let me know in the comments. And thanks so much for watching, guys, for your support, for your love. And yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you in Florida. Bye, guys.